What's up, sports fans? It's your man D back. Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. All right, check it out, man. This guy right here, he knows his sports. You idiot. Let me start off with saying that right off the bat. So I already know your boy D is on the prowl, man. I'm putting an end to, I'm not going to put an end to it because it's going to be a lot of foolishness on YouTube with these idiots. You know, I just put one out on Blue Blood Sports yesterday. Yes, he knows the sports. Time to be on the You Idiot segment today. And we're talking Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney situation. So, see, here's the thing. Let's look at this fight. Let's first look at this fight. And this is, you know, you hear a lot of back and forth with ideas from, you know, different sides of this, different channels, different communities. But first and foremost, this is about boxing. And I'm going to tell you why he knows the sports is an idiot, you idiot. Because the Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney fight should not be happening. This shouldn't be a fight. Okay? But to even sit up here and try to make sense of this fight, it's simple. Devin Haney is masterful at a young age. To be so young, he's masterful at keeping the distance, utilizing his jab and range. He has a 71-inch reach, and he's 5'9", but he can box. When I say he can box, no, he don't go in here and knock guys out. No, the sweet science. He has lateral movement. He transitions his weight well. Okay, he sets up traps. This kid is advanced when it comes to young fighters. And his dimensions alone make this fight with him and Gary Russell totally ridiculous. And people are talking about the fact that Gary Russell has the experience, and Gary Russell has done all of this at 126. And it's so funny to me how people like HeKnows the sport sits up on this channel. I keep telling y'all they have weight classes for a reason. But as soon as it's a PBC fighter and a Devin Haney that jumped up here and, you know, says some things that may not be accepted well by all fans, he wants to support this type of food because PBC and black boxers, no matter what, you know, this is the attitude he has. I don't have a problem with you supporting your countrymen. But when your countryman is doing wrong, then you need to speak on it. So he decides to speak on this fight, just considering the point of you two guys bickering back and forth, wasting time. You know, this is a good fight. It needs to be made. You guys need to stop wasting time. No, you idiot. It's not a good fight. And furthermore, Eddie Hearn said on November 7th, or here's the rumor, that on November 7th, they're targeting Devin Haney or Yuriorkis Gamboa. And let's be perfectly honest about it. Neither of them are good fights. They're both worthless fights. Yuriorkis Gamboa couldn't even do anything. He has a chin issue. Let's get it straight. He's a chinny fighter. He's old. He's old, and he's also a fighter who has moved up in weight. I mean, Yuriorkis Gamboa has had no success at 135 with any major fighter. Only B-level fighters at best. It's the only thing he's had success at. He was beaten by Tank Davis, although he suffered a heel injury in that fight. He was still stopped by Tank Davis. Yuriorkis Gamboa, in my opinion, he's a name, but he's no better than Alfonso Santiago or Abdulayev, which Devin Haney almost already beat. I mean, so my thing is this. Yuriorkis Gamboa nor Gary Russell Jr. is a good fight. And instead of speaking on the reality of boxing, you want to convince the fans that they need to hurry up and get this done because it's a good fight. It's a fight that needs to be made. You idiot. It's a lose-lose situation for Devin Haney. And it's funny to me in this same video, And see, these are the things that when the new boxing fans come to the YTBC, they hear this type of foolishness, these fallacies. And what's really funny to me is that he says that this is the type of stuff that he doesn't want to hear from Devin Haney because he respects Devin Haney. He doesn't want to hear mouth and no action because it's like the super duper hype job, Teofimo Lopez. Well, Teofimo Lopez has been talking, but Teofimo Lopez has been cashing in. He knows his sports. You idiot. I mean, what part of this don't you get? How could you even mention Teofimo Lopez when he's about to fight Lomachenko? Fine, that deal's done. There's no arguing about a rematch clause. Devin Haney, you shouldn't even be in a fight with Gary Russell Jr. Now you're talking about some rematch clause? And this idiot is supporting this. Not only is he supporting the fight, but he's supporting the fact that it's a good fight. Not a good fight. It's a worthless fight. Javier Fortuna, Jorge Linares, and Richard Comey was names that I mentioned prior to on another line because Blue Blood Sports is also trying to push this as a good fight. And this is the problem with these idiots out here. You sit there and you bash Teofimo Lomachenko fight. You sit there and bash that. Sit there and say, well, everybody gave Lomachenko credit when Regan Dow moved up to. I gave Lomachenko the same credit for that fight that I'm going to give to Devin Haney. Very minimal. Very minimal. See, real boxing fans that understand this sport, they didn't just hash out credit. Okay, it was a decent win. He was new to pro boxing and so forth. Okay, decent win. He didn't get massive credit from me, and neither will Devin Haney. Devin Haney doesn't deserve massive credit for beating up a guy that's coming up 2 weight classes that has never thrown or taken a punch at 135. How much credit do you want him to get? How much? He said it's time for Devin Haney to prove, to show the world that he's not just an email champ. This doesn't prove it. He knows his sports. You idiot. It doesn't prove it. And you sit here and you call Teofimo Lopez a super duper high job. And again, his first title defense, not an email belt because he beat Kone to get it, but his first title defense is against Lomachenko, and he says he's a super duper high job. Devin Haney, you and Gary Russell just have to hurry up and make this fight because this is a valid fight. You can't get any more idiotic than that guy. But it's because this guy doesn't understand boxing. He doesn't understand, first and foremost, the dimensions. Gary Russell Jr. could never even compete at 140. He doesn't have the dimensions. He's too small. He's too short. He's too stubby. And he's calling out guys like Terrence Crawford, who has a longer reach than Jamal Charlo. This is how idiotic guys like this is. And when new boxing fans come and get this information, this is the poison, the cancer in our boxing community. Because Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney is an absolutely ridiculous fight. And you shouldn't be making a point that they need to hurry up and get it done. You should be making a point as Devin Haney, you need to look in another direction because this was a worthless fight anyway. So forget about Gary Russell and step up and really try to prove you're not an email champ by fighting a Richard Comey, a Jorge Linares, a winner of Luke Campbell and Brian Garcia, a Javier Fortuna. I don't want to hear fight Gary Russell to prove anything because only an idiot would believe that this proves he's valid. And he knows his sports, that's trying to push this idea that you need to make this fight happen because it shows you're not an email champ. Well, he knows his sports. This is your day. This is your time to be on the special segment of You Idiot. It's not a good fight. And if you call Teofimo a high job because you're an idiot, it's evident that you don't get it and don't know a damn thing about boxing. So YouTube community and all the fans out there, stay away from guys like this because he's a complete idiot and he doesn't understand the sport of boxing, what happens in that ring, or anything else about it. He calls himself the prediction king, but if you check my prediction league, this dude's always at the bottom. You know, he knows the sports. You're on this episode of You Idiot, and I'm pretty sure with all the ridiculous shit you say, you'll be on a few more episodes after this. Y'all know how I always in this thing. For the love of sports, let's talk about it. Peace.